Fallout 4 has been out for almost a decade now, and just when we thought we'd seen it all, in April of 2024, Bethesda hit us over the head with the next gen update. Suddenly, now we have a fresh new batch of quests and some ridiculous new toys. Tools like the nail gun and saw gun, things that go bang, things that evaporate, and things that launch. And most importantly, the Enclave strutting back into the Commonwealth with shiny new XO2 and Hellfire power armor. So here's the challenge. Can you beat the entire game only using those next gen items? And I mean only. If it existed before the update, it's off limits. No stimpaks, no RadAway, no chems, no base game ammo, no junk, and of course no bobbleheads or magazines. The only exceptions to this are quest items that you physically need to finish the story. Everything else straight in the bin. So let's put it to the test and find out if you can beat Fallout 4 with only next gen items. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to
Mio de Noche.
Whoa!
This man right here. He's going to be taking on the run with his beautiful wife, Not. You know what? Never mind. You will not be taking on this run with her. As we crawl out of the vault, let's break down some of the special points for this run. We've got 6 strength, mainly so we can lug around heavy guns and for strong back. 5 perception for more explosive damage. 4 endurance for a little extra health. 3 charisma, which gives us just enough to unlock Lone Wanderer. I did pick 3 intelligence for gun nut, which honestly I'm not sure why I did, since how we can't even grab junk to build anything. It was a big brain move, clearly. Agility at 1, because although for some reason you can get a suppressor for the grenade launcher, we will not be doing any sneaking. And finally, look at 6 for Idiot Savant. With all that sorted, we picked up the Pip-Boy, slammed the big red button, and got rid of all of our worldly possessions, and then ascended to the wasteland with absolutely nothing. Instantly, we just ran.
From that day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running.
Eventually reaching our first stop at the Cambridge police station, where we met up with Buzz Lightyear for a little bit of free XP. That was until Dance broke and the mission was just stuck. There was no ghouls around to kill, nothing, so I guess we just had to scrap that and move on. Proceeding on to the new gen stuff, we stopped by the only vendor we could use in this run, Scruggs. The issue here is I have no money, and any money earned from the base game can't be used, so I'll have to trade new gen items for things that I want. We checked his computer, where we were informed about a competing vendor at Monster? I don't know, my dyslexia won't let us read that. The Plaza. And while heading over there, we discovered enough locations for our first level up. Investing into the Lone Wanderer, because although we have absolutely nothing to carry at the moment, that sweet 15% damage resistance will come in handy while we can't fight back. We scooted past the Raiders, and inside the Plaza, we tried to run past some more, but that didn't last very long, and we were quickly put down. At least on our second try, we made it the first gun of the run, before being put straight back down behind a counter. Third time's the charm though, as this time we secured the pipe grenade launcher and the ammo, and finally I could fight back against the Raiders. And even as a little side treat, we grabbed some piggy bank mines too and celebrated. Back at the merchant, we needed to deal with Marvin, who possessed our next weapon of the run, the piggy bank launcher, and he showed it to me in the most appropriate way possible, twice, before I launched a grenade directly off his head, turned him into mush. And we even got a little chunk of him landing right next to us so I could loot the ammo for the piggy bank launcher, and also retrieve the grenade launcher schematics. As I got these though, some scripted enemies spawned in right behind us, and instantly left the world, securing the baseball launcher to our arsenal too. On our retreat, we grabbed the piggy bank launcher and an extra mine for the road, and then also discovered I am not a fan of the baseball launcher at all. With the schematics turned in, we got a free Chinese grenade launcher and completed the When Pigs Fly, getting us to level 3, where we got Idiot Savant. With our pockets empty and a very limited supply of ammo, it was time to go get some next-gen power armor to trade. So we headed straight off to our favourite punching bag, Pyro. The first time didn't go as smoothly as I wanted it to go, as Pyro launched a Molotov off my head, but I mean, nothing a little bacon can't fix. And using the grenade launcher to clear up the rest, we looted all the new power armor and emerged victorious. But we did end up pissing off the Enclave in the process, as when we made our way over to Saugus, we got a customary Molotov launched off us, and on respawning, a complimentary plasma bullet in the back of the head, multiple times over. And they were smart too, like, because no matter where I looked, they just kept spawning behind me, so no matter what, I would just get dropped. But with the reflexes of a cat, I was finally quick enough to ping a piggy off them, deleting the Enclave search party. We secured their armor and the new nape armor. And on reading the soldiers' orders, it informed us about another Enclave camp not far from us that we can go pillage. And with another level up, we allocated a perk point in the Demolition Expert for 25% more damage. However, I did dabble in a little bit of a grey area here when it comes to this challenge, as I equipped the combat armor. Yes, combat armor was in before the update, but the Enclave wasn't, neither the patrol that gave it to me. It would be different if I got the initial combat armor and just painted it myself, as I would be breaking 2 rules in one. But as I was getting a bit cold from wandering the waste naked, and because it's kind of new, I decided I could use it. Over at the camp, I stayed a safe distance and launched a pig over, but when that didn't work, I ransacked it with a grenade launcher. We looted the place and got info about an outpost in the Glowing Sea, and then did a little trading with Mr. Venderman, got some new weapons, filled up on ammo, and walked away with just over 100 grenades and some tools from Home Depot. As we travelled on through Boston, we discovered some locations like Park Street Station and Goodneighbor, where we found out that using a grenade launcher in a town wasn't the smartest thing. Hey, but I mean, at least the saw blades worked. Venturing on, we followed the Freedom Trail to the Old North Church, but this didn't come without its disruptions. Inside the Old North Church, we reached level 5, getting Rifleman and putting our nail gun to use against some ghouls. And although the nail gun's ass, I mean, at least you could pick up some of your ammo back. We entered the super secret password, met the railroad, and with the wonders of Idiot Savant, we managed to level up again and grabbed Life Giver for an extra 20 points of health. We'll be back here later though, but for now we've got a detective to rescue in Park Street Station. We started off by using the grenade launcher, and then whatever was left we cleared up with the nail gun. And for the large numbers of them a bit further down the tunnel, we just resorted to blowing the room up, before wedging saw blades in the rest of them. We opened up the vault and kept charging through, where I managed to wrap a blade perfectly around someone's finger. We ended up running past the majority of the trigger men, but for the ones that followed me through, they got to shake hands with a nice 40mm grenade. And the only thing left between me and a detective was a wild dino, where a saw blade took his head clean off his shoulders. We unlocked the door, saw our first bobblehead that we couldn't take, and this was devastating. It's muscle memory at this point to grab it. So we added Nick to the team and started to make our escape, exploding and taking the heads off anyone who got in our way. This included Skinny Malone. Valentine may have got caught in the crossfire, but he'll be fine, he'll just walk it off. We resurfaced and Valentine told us to meet him back at his detective agency in Diamond City, but not before investing another point in the Life Giver. In Diamond City, we swiped the key off the man, talked to Valentine, describing the scene of the kidnapping and the tragic murder of my model wife. He said that a guy named Kellogg might have him, so using the key we lifted off the mayor, we entered his home and grabbed some clues that could lead me to him. Cause just for him, I've got an explosive pig with his name on it. Showing the cigar to Dogmeat, he led us to Fort Hagen, where we entered through the basement, and to thank Dogmeat for all of this, we dismissed him instantly, and started clearing our way through the sins. We dodged some turrets, and then met face to face with Kellogg, where instantly I showed him the pig that I specifically chose for him. We searched his PC and ascended to the roof, where we were met with the Predwin. Now this is a big target that I want to blow up. So talking to Nick back in Diamond City, we let him know Kellogg didn't spill the beans on how to get Sean back, and so we recited to him what we did to him.
Huh? Hey, cowboy! You mind that I
Blew you up with a pig.
Sorry! What was that? Well, no, you don't mind? Oh, because you're a dead man? And the only sentient part you left is this little bit of brain and the gristle on the end of my boot? Well, thank you very much, cowboy! Bullshit!
But by using Dr. Amari and Goodneighbor, we could access his memories using the bit of brain that I scooped out. So using Nick, she put a little bit of brain in him, and we hopped into the memory lounger and entered Kellogg's memories. This is my favourite mission in the game, if you ignore every other mission in the game. We hopped our way through the memory sequence until finally we reached Sean, and perched ourselves in a corner where we watched as a synth came in and told Kellogg an Institute scientist had escaped to the glowing sea. Then the Corsair beamed him and Sean away. We left with the information we needed. We suffered some small side effects from the mental torture of watching that cutscene 50 million times, but now we need to find a way through the radiation and the glowing sea. And for this, I have a plan. For this, I can't use Rad-X or a Hazmat to get through it, so I'm going to have to find something special to the next gen update. So after leveling another point in the Demolition Expert, we set off to Watts Electronics for our first log on the Black Devil. The Black Devil's a guy who made it his mission to drive all the raiders out of the Commonwealth. And judging by the lack of Black Devil and the abundance of raiders, he wasn't too successful. So we have to go track him down. So at the first radio tower, we catapulted a few raiders and placed the first holotape into the tower. And for the second holotape, we had to go to the BAD TFL regional office. Now the place was crawling with raiders. Nothing a grenade launcher couldn't solve though. But this kinda did bite me in the ass for more than one reason. So it turns out a tiny piece of paper is prone to get flung when you use an explosive indoors. So that made looking for the password for the holotape incredibly difficult. Like, I searched the area for a while before I finally found it on the other side of the room. And I have to add, this was the most tiny ass piece of paper ever, allowing us to hack the holotape and load it into another radio tower, locating us the Black Devil, which was located nearby. So heading over there and going through the basement, there it was, the XO2 power armor, aka the Black Devil. Now, I know what you're thinking, but technically this fusion core didn't exist pre-next gen as it's already loaded into the armor, which makes this single fusion core a magic next gen one. So climbing into the armor, we are now suited for the glowing sea. While on a lengthy walk filled with radiation and ghouls, we leveled up again, putting another point into Rifleman. And we also got to test out our firepower against some Deathclaws, where they surprisingly went down in 2 shots. Our next gen adventures weren't done here later though, as we stumble across the Atlantic officers that the Enclave had set up as a base of operations. Here we fought our way through, filling up on armor to trade, and even a new piece of armor for us in the form of the Colonel uniform, which gives us a whopping 50 points of defense. We lifted the lockdown and ascended to the roof where we absolutely demolished a vertibird and secured the Tesla cannon. But there's an issue with the Tesla cannon. Although it's amazing, we can't actually use any ammo to reload it as it uses fusion cells. And the same is said for the incinerator, which uses fuel. So aside from the ammo already loaded into it, I can't use it any more than that. But hey, at least we can sell them too. Over at the Crate of the Atom, for the first time, I decided not to nuke them all and let them live. We asked the leader for directions to Virgil, which he happily gave up. And after swiftly dealing with the Deathclaw outside of his cave, we met the mutant Green Bean, where he said I needed a Corsair chip to get into the Institute. So it was off to hunt us a killer robot. We stopped by Scuggs again to get a slight resupply and trade our junk, making sure not to use the 100 caps that we got from Ellie, and with our pockets brimming with grenades and all dressed up, we stormed over to CIT. We tuned into the Corsair frequency, and that led us to Green Tech Genetics, where the gunners never stood a chance. Well, except the one that keeps getting me with an explosion from the floor above. No matter who or what they threw at me, it was reduced to atoms. Everything. But one opponent bested us. The dreaded Tesla Arc. Oh yeah, and myself of course, because grenades indoors still aren't the best idea. But that's why we have a saw blade launcher. And up at the Corsair, one piggy bank was all it took to clear the room. I mean, as a form of karma, when I did try and kill the prisoner, I may have ended up launching the Corsair over the railings, making me go on a trip to go retrieve the chip. With another level up pocketed, we grabbed toughness, and now we just have to get the chip analysed. So we headed back to the Old North Church to talk to the railroad, where we promised to give them the chip in return for decoding it. But Tinker Tom was taking way too long to decode it. So I ended up nuking everyone in the room and decoding it myself. Returned to Shrek's smarter cousin, he gave us a signal interceptor plans, but now we need help building it. And well, the railroad can't help because, yeah. And neither can the Brotherhood because Buzz is broken. So that leaves the Minutemen. Over at the museum, we cleared the inside of the raider infestation with a couple of well-placed saw blades and grenades. And met up with Preston on the top floor, where he was happy to tell us there is a full set of power armor on the roof, but we would need a fusion core for it. Thankfully though, I kept the fusion core from the XO2 set, because if I didn't, I would have failed as I needed one. And I'm pretty sure this one in my hand right now is the only one I could get without it being cheating. So on the roof we powered the armor, but didn't use it, allowing us to send a raider to the moon. And with the assistance of Brotherhood soldiers, we cleared the remaining raiders in the street. That was until I realized they were going to steal the Becky kill from us, and technically the knights were added pre-next gen, so we had to get rid of them, and Becky too. With Preston and the gang secured, we regrouped back at Sanctuary. I asked him for help, but Preston said I would need to help the Minutemen before he would help me. So I did, by removing the settlement off the map. For this heroic action, I got promoted to General, and they agreed to help us. With Sturgis by my side, we constructed the teleporter, and if you're wondering about the military-grade circuit board, I actually got that from one of the Enclave turrets. And the biometric scanner? Yeah, I just bought that. Using caps that we got from Next Gen, though. I know. Like I said, essential quest items are fair game. Slapping the teleporter together, we stood on the platform and was sent directly to the Institute, where we leveled up again, unlocking big guns, and finally met with Sean. But he looks a little bit too normal to be my son. Now this man right here, that's more accurate. Agreeing to join the Institute, we met all of the leaders, officially becoming institutionalized, and thanks to Idiot Savant, earned a fat stack of XP. Our first mission for the Institute was to go get a synth back from a raider gang. And here's where I made one of the biggest mistakes of the run. Due to my inability to follow paths, I swam across the water, accruing a huge amount of rads, which I can't get rid of, because Radaway is not allowed. So now I have very little HP to get through any fighting section, and it showed. But getting through the raiders and scaling the side of the ship, we had a chat with the Corsair, and he gave us the recall code that we instantly put to use. Disposing of his friends, we returned to the Institute and visited our quarters and completed synth retention, leveling us up and getting us another tier into toughness. Talking to Father, we were now onto the Battle of Bunker Hill, and if you've watched any of my Institute runs and videos, I normally skip this mission completely, but this time, I actually did it the way it was intended. I sniped a vertibird out of the sky, hopped the fence, and immediately blew myself up. But that wasn't the end of it. Because of having no health thanks to the radiation, we were very easy to be taken down. But after removing all the railroad and residents of Bunker Hill, we eventually made it into the bunker, where we blew everyone up with pigs and grenades. Reaching the escaped synths, we used a recall code on them and scattered our way to the top of CIT, where we met Father again before leveling up twice, getting us Life Giver rank 3 and more endurance endurance. Back at the Institute, we sat through the boring ass meeting and set our sights on mass fusion. Relaying over there, we got mopped up by Brotherhood soldiers before actually managing to delete them. We grabbed a keycard and began our descent into hell. I say this because I've still got no HP and I'm stuck in a confined space. And like we've discussed, explosions in tiny rooms aren't good for anyone's health. So I just kept dying and dying. Whether that beat in my own hands or an aimbot Brotherhood soldier, it was painful. But after they blew the wall, dropping the elevator to the floor, they messed up big time, as now I have a safe distance away from the explosion, and they don't. So with their attack failing, we restored power and continued to the reactor room, where we were blessed with a radiation removing shower. However, it was still not enough to get the beryllium agitator without dying, so sadly, we had to take Rad-X, failing the challenge. I mean, in hindsight, I could have kept the power armor, but at the time I didn't think that far ahead. Battery in hand, we took on the robots, and they were actually very easy to deal with, so we made our escape back to the Institute, completing mass fusion and leveling up our demolition expert perk to rank 3. Next, we travelled over to the Grey Garden to deal with some gunners before threatening a man to join the Institute. And I mean, that was the entire mission, it was easy enough. We then recorded a speech and headed over to Diamond City and messed with Travis's radio setup so we could broadcast the speech across the Commonwealth. And with that, we helped Father lift the big battery into the reactor and soaked in all the glory. As the new leader of the Institute, we hosted a meeting, and just look at him, I would trust him with my life. Talking to Father, he requested us to deal with the railroad, but that was kind of already done. So, while on the offensive, it was time to take down the Brotherhood. At the Boston airport, we started to rain hell on the soldiers with grenades. However, it turns out they had a bit more firepower than I thought. But after taking a more strategic route around the side, we cleared the Brotherhood and used the biggest brain speedrun strats to blow the generators up through the floors. With the generators down, we relayed synths to the airport, which helped us fight our way up to Liberty Prime to start the hacking process. This is where I really started to suffer, as I was prone to blowing myself up quite often, and the vertibirds weren't helping either. And this was an ongoing theme. Like, I game-ended myself a lot, and ended up getting killed a lot. So little by little, I just have to keep whittling down the numbers of Brotherhood members, until there were none left. And my PC really started to feel it, as about halfway through, it was running like ass. To be fair, it was probably the chunks of soldiers everywhere and the sheer amount of them, but trying to fight on 1 HP with grenades while my PC slowly combusting into flames isn't exactly ideal. But little by little, quick save by quick save, and grenade after grenade, we finally cleared every last Brotherhood member, and as the bits and burning metal laid on the ground, Liberty Prime's hack was finally complete, and he turned his head and struck down the Predwin, causing it to crash into flames. And we watched from a distance as it exploded, making it our last one of the run before returning to Sean, where we forced him to eat a saw blade, and that ended the game. And as for the question, can you be Fallout 4 with only next-gen stuff? Yeah, 100%. If you're smarter with perks and can think ahead, surprisingly it can be done. And to be fair, the next-gen stuff is super fun to use and is a great addition to the game, especially for people who like to blow shit up and wear beefy ass armor while doing it. I hope you enjoyed, and if you liked the video at any point, please consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing to not miss a video. And with that, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.